Hello there. Welcome to Jedi Academy. I am one of your Jedi Masters, Ben. With me, as always, my partner, my fellow Jedi Master Chuck. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well.
That's good.
I
That's always
did.
good.
I did finish rewatching the original trilogy over the weekend.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
So
I saw New Hope over the weekend. It was on TV, so not as good, but still New Hope.
I'll be honest. Ever since Obi-Wan, I look at the movies different now. Obi-Wan the show.
I think Rogue One and Obi-Wan helped the original trilogy a lot more now. Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Especially that line in the Obi-Wan finale when Vader's like, you didn't kill Anakin. I did.
That's a big line. That really is but the only thing is, I actually saw something about that. It was either earlier today or yesterday, I believe, where they said that kind of messes up something in canon because of something that was said, um, I think to Luke or by Luke, where it says you haven't lost yourself, you've just forgotten. Luke says to Vader. So I have to see the quote again, but that it was just something I saw. Like I said,
I don't
I
know.
don't
It's
know.
weird.
I
It's
don't know.
weird. It's weird. Like if you picture Vader and Anakin as two separate people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like most of us do.
Yeah.
Anakin is the one who conceived Luke and Leia. It was Anakin and Padme.
Right. Yeah.
But in Empire, Vader says, "No, I am your father."
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, there's
Yeah. Well, he was always written as two different people at first, and then became his
like,
father in the second one. So when they were shooting the second one, so
and
there's going to be things like that. I think that we just can't really get past.
there was, I forget who I was watching. Maybe it was Hollow, maybe it was someone else. But somebody brought up a really good point.
Okay.
Why didn't Vader go for Luke when Luke was on Tatooine growing up? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question, right?
Sure.
When Vader is born at the end of Revenge of the Sith,
Mm-hmm.
the Emperor tells him Padme is dead.
Yep. Yep.
On that same logic, that would mean more of that would mean the baby is dead too.
Well, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Right.
So by the time A New Hope or in that time in between, Vader thinks there is no kid. Vader thinks
Yeah.
that
Vader.
kid's
Yeah.
dead.
Vader doesn't think the kids are alive. Right. Vader
Yeah,
doesn't find that out until A New Hope.
so, or maybe even Empire, because I don't
Maybe.
think he
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah. Empire. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that answers the question. That answers why didn't Vader go to Tatooine for Luke?
Well, also that's where his mother was buried, and I don't think he ever wanted to go back there again. So there was no reason for Vader to ever go back there,
Right.
unless he would have heard of the kid, unless he would have, hey, there's some kid named Skywalker walking around. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like the Empire stretched that far. I don't think they were that far out there.
But wasn't Padme married on Naboo? Oh, you mean Anakin's mother?
Anakin's mother. I'm sorry. Yeah, no,
You mean okay?
yeah. When he goes back and kills the Sand People, and then they bury her,
Yeah, but
I think he doesn't want anything to do with that planet ever again.
well, to me, when he became Vader, he didn't care about Shmi.
That too.
Like we just said, Vader and Anakin, two separate
Two
people.
separate people, right? Yep.
Vader has no connection to Shmi Skywalker.
Right. Yep. No,
So
absolutely. But
yeah,
again, I
but
don't think he would ever know the name Luke Skywalker. I don't feel like he
right,
would ever know that name for any reason. It would never get to
right,
Vader. Do you know what I mean?
exactly. Like
So, and it's been 20 years by the, I mean, well, I guess the Empire's been there the whole time, but it's just, it's stormtroopers and stuff like that. It's not anybody high up that would be like, oh, yeah, by the way, somebody should tell Vader that. And plus, nobody knows. That's the other thing about Vader. Nobody
right,
knows he's Anakin, so nobody would know to tell him either.
and that makes Obi-Wan the series more. That makes Obi-Wan the series make more sense why Vader
Hmm.
never said the Snoop because
Yeah,
he didn't know Trin. He thought the baby was dead. So in his mind, Vader didn't know the sense for her.
sure.
He
And
didn't
at that
know
point,
the
we don't
sense.
even know if she's showing any signs of being a force sensitive at all yet.
Right.
So that,
So,
that might even be an issue too, where she's not even tapped into the force at all yet.
right. And to me, that's why it never bothered me that Leia and Vader were not close to each other, but in the same proximity
Sure,
in
sure.
Obi-Wan because
Well, I don't think that was as big an issue for me as it just was that she knew him as Ben or knew him as Obi-Wan. That I think is the bigger issue if we want to talk about canon. But again, it is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do about it? I mean, it, I don't have enough of an issue with it that I don't like the show. I think the show is still, for me, it's probably an 8 out of 10.
for me, I'll be honest. Right now, it's my favorite Star Wars show,
That's
and I
fair.
looked on Rotten Tomatoes today.
Yep.
Take a guess what the critic rating is. Just take a guess.
On Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah,
oh, it's probably high. I would say in the 80s.
83.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's a
Now,
good show. It's a great show. It really is.
it's funny because judging by the people we follow, like Harlow,
Hmm.
like Walker, like all those guys,
Hmm.
you would think everybody didn't like the show. You would feel like you're in the minority.
I don't feel like anybody didn't like it. I just feel like people like us, we know the canons at least somewhat well to the point where we can find those little things where I think
Right,
most people don't find those things. They just,
right.
to them, they don't connect Leia having that conversation with R2D2 and leaving the message for Obi-Wan, and they don't connect those two things as being the same. You know what I mean? They just, to them it doesn't matter. Where
Right.
we're the ones that are just dissecting it just because we love it so much and we're crazy. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
it comes down
that's true.
to.
I have a question. I was talking
Sorry about
I was talking with my brother yesterday about Star Wars.
that. Okay.
He's into it like we are.
Mhm.
Do you think Disney will ever get to the point where they're like, you know what? Fuck canon. Now they make whatever we want. It doesn't matter. We don't need to worry about tying things up.
Sure.
Do you think they will ever get to that point?
I think they will eventually. Yeah, it's going to be like Marvel. Once you get, you know, 30 movies in, it's going to be so hard to get. Now, I don't think they'll ever be to the like literal that point where they're like screw canon, but I think they will get looser and looser with how they keep the continuity going. I think right now they're about as strict as they're ever going to be on canon.
And you know what? They already got it loose. They already
Yeah,
loosened stuff up
right.
since 2012.
Yep.
Like,
The thing is like we've I think I've always said, and I think you've always said, is you have to put somebody like Feige in charge of creative, which for Star Wars, for me, it would be Filoni and Favreau. I mean, it would just be those two, so they can somewhat keep the story together where it still makes sense.
But let me ask you this. For the average Star Wars fan,
Hmm.
so not like you and me,
Hmm.
for the average Joe, how important is canon? Honestly.
I would say it's probably less than 50% for most people. They
Right.
just don't care
Yeah.
enough about it. Yeah. Because again, they we know these movies front to back, word for word. We
Right.
we you know we know every line. We know every tick of a face. I mean, we know it all. So for us, yeah, any little thing sticks out. But for most people, they've seen Star Wars. Maybe New Hope 5 times in their whole life. Maybe Empire. 5 times in their whole life. A lot of people have seen the newer stuff. The prequels and the sequels more than the original trilogy.
Well, I hate to say it, but I think the average fan love the movies, love
Hmm.
all the movies.
Hmm.
Like you said, they know the movies back and forth. They like the TV shows,
Yep.
and they never read a book. They never read a comic,
Yep.
and don't play the games.
Yep. Exactly.
And
And that's
that's why, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, eventually Disney will say movies, TV are canon, everything else is legends or something.
sure. It makes sense to
And
me because they've already basically a lot of stuff in even the newer books that they've put out, they've sort of either changed or retconned in the movies and the shows pretty much immediately. So,
and to me, I think that's okay. For me personally, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know about you, but
well, I think because here's also a thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, especially some of the older Star Wars fans, is a lot of the younger fans, Marvel is their Star Wars. Lord of the
right,
Rings is their Star Wars. Game of Thrones is their Star Wars, where Star Wars is just kind of like to us how Game of Thrones is. It's cool, we
right,
like it, but it's not our favorite. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So a lot of people just, I don't think, care enough about Star Wars like we used to that people that grew up with it and sort of have been with it for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. So I think there is a little bit of that too that we have to just acknowledge and just say, all of these franchises are great. I don't know
yep,
I don't know anything about Game of Thrones. I still love it. I still love that universe. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
if you
yeah,
ask me at the end of the day, I'm going to say Star Wars is better. But there are hundreds and thousands of people out there, millions that'll say Game of Thrones is better, or Lord of the Rings, or whatever.
right.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter's probably bigger than Star Wars to the younger generations.
Now let me ask you something. I'm curious about this.
Okay,
We're in our generation and older,
sure.
the people who read the old books, the old Heir to the Empire and all
Yeah,
those,
the original Thrawn trilogy.
the original Swan trilogy,
Yeah, big
the,
ones.
every new material that came after Return of the Jedi and
Hmm.
before Force Awakens.
Hmm. Hmm.
They are the same people who are critical about canon and
Sure,
about details.
sure.
Do you think if there is no new material, if you just got Return of the Jedi, fast forward 30 years to The Force Awakens, with
Right.
nothing in between?
No
Maybe,
prequels or anything?
maybe the prequels, maybe the
Okay.
prequels,
Okay, I was gonna say no prequel. Okay.
maybe the prequels.
So no Clone Wars or Rebels.
No Clone Wars, no Rebels. May-
Star Wars would have died by then. Clone Wars and Rebels is, in my opinion, what saved Star Wars because it
Okay,
was it was geared towards children and it kept a younger generation engaged after the prequels were over with and gone. And they
okay,
actually filled in the story for the older generation too. That I mean, a lot of us fell in love with the Clone Wars and Rebels as huge fans. So
okay. So if we had the original trilogy,
sure,
Clone Wars and Rebels, the
sure,
prequels,
okay,
and the sequel trilogy,
okay,
but nothing else.
No books or anything,
No books, no
comic books.
games,
Yeah,
no
sure.
anything.
Okay.
Do you think the sequel trilogy there would have been divisive?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I still feel like we have enough, or not Anakin, Luke in the original trilogy that's just not Anakin. Still, I just don't feel like that is a natural portrayal of him later in life. I
Okay.
guess.
Alright.
But again, I don't know how fans would feel because, like you said, Heir to the Empire gave us a lot more into Luke. So, yes, it could absolutely change. I mean, you're not wrong in thinking that. So, I don't know how it would look.
I'm just curious because the major complaint from the Last Jedi, I think you heard this too.
Sure.
That's not my Luke. That's not my Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker.
Right. And it's not the same because the Emperor comes back in the Legends books, but it's
Right.
different. It's a lot different. So that's all I'll say about that. I mean, it's just different.
Well, I'm
Explained a
guessing
lot
in
better.
the Heir to the Empire books, I'm guessing they have a good explanation or an explanation of how he came back.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's in the Air of the Empire, but
Uh,
it's in Legends, and it's one
okay.
of the story. Yeah, and he comes back, and again,
My
it's
point
explained a
is,
lot better.
I bet there's an explanation of
Yeah,
how he comes back and then
yeah. As Christian says, it's Palpatine's back. Well, why? Eh.
yeah.
He's Palpatine.
Okay. I think to me, the two biggest problems for the Life of Skywalker. I have other problems, but these are the two biggest for me.
Sure, sure.
Palpatine coming back with no explanation
Yeah,
with Skywalker.
yeah.
I mean,
How is he not at
I
least talking to Ray?
huh?
How is he not? I mean, he's barely. Yeah, he's not there.
Well, I mean, you have Last Jedi. Say what you want about Last Jedi. I forget where you stand. In that movie, how did you feel about Ray being a nobody? Did you like it or did you not like it?
I think that was the story I would have preferred the most. Is it that she was a nobody? Yeah, justice for Broom Kid. I'm one of them.
Well,
Justice
okay,
for Broom
yeah,
Kid. I
yeah.
love that scene at the end of him just grabbing the broom with the Force and just start sweep. It's a cool little thing. It's like, yeah, anybody can have the Force. I like that. Other than you have to be a Skywalker or a Kenobi, because that's not how it is in the prequels. In the prequels, they're not allowed to be married and have kids. So
Right.
where does this lineage thing come from? It's a weird thing to me.
I think the whole trilogy, and it's not me if correct me if I'm wrong. The whole trilogy for Ray is about accepting who she is,
Yeah.
moving on from her past, accepting who she is, and moving forward with
Yep.
who she is.
Yeah.
In 9.
I think the smarter way with to play that one out was to have her actually as a clone of somebody. Maybe not Palpatine, but somebody, and her not actually have parents, but she has this memory for some reason of these parents that left her, where really it was just somebody who dropped her off, and she didn't have parents. She was just a clone that was dropped off.
But, okay, I have a question. If the main goal is for her to accepting who she is,
Yeah.
and then Rise of Skywalker, cool.
Right.
She's Palpatine.
Yep.
There's war with me on this.
Sure.
If she's supposed to accept who she is,
Mhm.
how would have you felt if Anna Rise of Skywalker, she continues to be Rey Palpatine, but she knows about building that name up to something good, make it represent hope instead of dread.
Sure.
How do you think that would have played out?
I it probably would have been better. Um, See, I always took it. At least I thought what it was going to be. The Rise of Skywalker was going to be sort of her homage to Luke and Leia, saying, That's what I'm naming the new Jedi Order that I'm creating. You know, whatever. This is the Skywalker way, or whatever. That's kind of how I always thought it was going to play out in the end. So yeah, that would with that would make a lot more sense that she was. The Academy, or her style of the light side would be called the Skywalkers, and she would be a Palpatine trying to write that name. Yeah, that would be a cool way to bring. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded that as much. We just don't need him at all. We don't need him in the movie. And even if she's a Palpatine, you still don't need him.
True, you don't need him. But my point is that last 5 seconds of the movie.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't mind that part of her going back to Tatooine and sort of reconnecting with where Luke started and Anakin and all that's kind of began, but it's just done so convoluted. By that point, the story is so weird. You're just like, yeah, but I don't care that she's a Skywalker now. Like, I just don't care.
It mainly flips out the whole trilogy. Yeah. The whole trilogy is about accepting who she is and moving forward with who she is. Yeah. And then that second, okay, I'm a Skywalker.
Yeah, it's exactly. You're absolutely right. It's weird.
It takes the entire trilogy.
Yeah. Because if that scene was, like we just talked about, and she's there to bury Luke and Leia's lightsaber next to each other on Tatooine for, that's where she thinks the final resting place is. And then that's where she builds her temple, above that area on Tatooine. That would have been a super poetic way to end it, where she begins anew where everything sort of went bad in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Just imagine she builds her temple. That same lady comes back. Who are you? Rey. Rey who? Rey Palpatine. And then that going forward. Yeah. I think that could have added so much power to
I love that. That's instant tears for me right there, man. If I'm in the theater and that's what happens, that's instant tears. That's instant tears. Because Palpatine, love him, hate him, whatever you want, he is a part of the Skywalker saga. He is a part of the entire saga, 100%. Good, bad, indifferent.
Right.
He is a major player in this.
One might say he's the best part of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah. Well, him and Ewan McGregor are probably the best parts of the original trilogy. Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. 100% agree. Because I love Palpatine as a character. He is a great villain. He really is.
Oh, definitely. The more I think about 9 and 8 and 7, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. They had no plan. I don't care what anybody said. And
well, again, the biggest miss for me has always been that Luke wasn't standing there at the end of 7.
Right.
When the lightsaber goes across Kylo's face.
Especially right after Hard 9, that would have been a powerful moment.
Absolutely. That should have absolutely been Luke standing there with just catching that lightsaber and just saying, all right, now it's time. Let's go. Like, now it's time. I just think that's the better ending to that movie, or to that part of the movie. It makes so much more sense if he just shows up right then and there, because they're looking for him. They're looking for him. You know what I mean? It would, to me, it's a perfect Star Wars moment where the hero shows up at the end.
I remember when I first saw 8. I really liked it when I first saw it, because I'm like, it was something different. Mm-hmm. Because I got tired of the argument that 7 was exactly like 4. I mean, it was fun. I got tired of the argument. I'm like, okay, 8 is different. I like 8. And then 9 came out.
Yep.
And basically dictated all of 8.
I remember all them Christian and all them talking about when after 8 came out about how you remember like the Matrix, how it's like the Matrix. The first one is really good, the second one is, but okay, maybe the third one can save it, and then the third one is just completely tanks it. And that's kind of how this felt. It was like, the second one's not horrible. Yeah, I don't like this Luke, but I can get through a couple things, and maybe they
Right.
can finish strong, and that's fine. And then we just got dyads and just I don't like any of the story plots, the points that
And
lead to
some
that.
of the
And
characters
again,
were
why do you waste such a great character like Finn? You bring a person like Finn in and you just completely waste them for 3 movies,
and
which
Poe.
makes
And
no sense.
Poe.
And
And
Poe, yeah,
Poe.
absolutely. There's just a lot more misses than hits in those movies. I think that's the fairest anybody can be, is there's a lot more misses than hits.
Another, this isn't a big problem, but I would say it's a big disappointment.
Yeah.
Captain Phasma.
Oh, that's
Captain
another one.
Phasma.
Absolutely another one. I agree. That's your Boba Fett. That's your new Boba Fett, and you blow it.
Don't even get me started on Turtle in 8.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, another great actor just completely wasted with a stunner and really no point at all to his character. Because Maz Kanata should be the one helping them. Why are you cutting out a character that you literally just introduced that can do what you need them to do? I mean, I understand she's fighting some whatever revolution. MacGuffin. That is just a reason to keep her out of that movie for some reason, and it feels so intentional.
If they need to find a place for Finn and Rose to be in 8, why don't have them go help Maz? Why don't they go help Maz?
There
And
you
maybe
go.
the contractors over there.
There you go. Instead of going to the horse racing planet.
Oh my! I didn't think of
And we
that.
have a 10-minute horse racing scene. I mean, it's just bad choices. It's just bad story choices.
You have the great cutaway scene of Maz Kanata fighting in the background.
Yeah.
Have Finn and Rose go help her.
But again, she wasn't a hated character. Nobody had any issues with Maz Kanata from 7.
No,
I don't
everybody
remember
loved
there
it.
was. Yeah, I
Everybody
don't remember there
loved
was.
it.
Right. So why would you cut her out of the movie when she can do what you need her to do? Like what you need done. To me, that just is such a Ryan Johnson, I don't care what he did, I'm doing my own thing. And that's why I don't like those 2 movies, because it became a fight more than a fan movie. It became more of a fight between them.
My biggest issue with Maz Kanata is in 7, actually.
Okay.
That is a story for another day. When she's talking about Luke Skywalker.
Again. Because in that moment, I'm telling you right now, the first few times I watched that movie, that was confirming to me that she was a Solo. That she was Han's daughter.
For me, it's confirming that she was a Kenobi or a Skywalker.
No, I thought more it was Solo, because if you remember when they're flying into Maz Kanata's planet and she says, "This is the most green that I've ever seen," he has a serious, like, I messed up look on his face.
But if it has Solo, why is she hearing Obi-Wan's voice about the lightsaber?
Yeah, no, and again, you're not wrong about that either. It was very confusing, and I think that was on purpose, though, at that time. I think they were trying to confuse us on who was actually, because I don't think they knew. I don't think they knew. Again, no plan. We talk about that all the time. No plan. I think they thought, so eventually somebody will nail it down. One of them will nail it down. And it's like, you can't just expect that to happen in your story. They wanted a "I'm your father" moment, and it just didn't happen.
And don't even get me started on Snoke. That's
Yeah.
another character that made no sense.
Some of Andy Serkis' best work, man. I'd literally actually yesterday, me and my wife watched Dawn and War or Rise and War of Planet of the Apes.
Excellent,
Dude,
excellent.
he is so good. He is just so good in that style of acting, man. He nails it every time. I love him. But yeah, again,
I'm
he's
not,
he's scary, man. He's actually a villain, and he's wasted completely.
it is interesting because when these movies first came out, well, when Seven first came out,
Mhm.
I really liked the Seven. I'm like you, I really
Oh, I
liked
love
the
7
Seven.
still. Yeah, I still like 7 for what it is. I just hate it because of what comes after. So
Right, is that,
yeah,
even though I like it, I can't watch it because of what comes next.
because of what could be, and yeah, what comes right. No, you're right. It's hard. It sucks. Because it did, even though that movie's not perfect, I at least at the end of 7 felt like, oh, okay, there's something here.
Right.
There's something here. We can build on this. That's cool. And then just, off the cliff from there. It's like,
Literally.
yeah,
Literally, when
literally.
Luke takes the lightsaber and shakes it.
Yep. So, yeah. I think a lot of fans feel that way, though. I think that's what it is it was just a letdown that just kept coming. It didn't stop. So, and then
But
we got
it is,
Mandalorian, and everybody was happy again.
right. And then you got Book of Boba Fett and everybody's
Everybody's mad
divided
again.
again.
Yep. And then you get Obi-Wan, and everybody is on the opposite side. So you can't please any of us, man. None of us are pleasable.
How important is Andor for it to be good?
I'm calling it right now. Andor's going to be better than Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think because one, it is going to be different. It's going to be a spy thriller, boots on the ground. I don't think we're going to see lightsabers. I don't think we're going to see Jedi. I don't think we're going to see any of that stuff. I think this is going to be the most grounded thing we've ever seen in Star Wars, and I think it's going to hit. I do.
I just hope we don't see Andor looking around another kid. I think we're done with the Lone Wolf
Oh,
episode.
no, I don't. I hope not. This seems like political thriller, drama, spy, espionage, all that kind of stuff. That's what this seems like. A very
Did you hear
political
what they're
thriller.
doing? Did you hear how they're handling this?
It was 100% not shot on the volume. I know that.
No, but it's going to be over 2 seasons, right?
No, 3 seasons. 3 seasons total.
Oh, I thought 2.
It's 3 seasons. From what I've heard, it's 3 seasons total. It's
Okay,
one.
but I heard,
It might be 2. It might be
I
2.
heard
I know 2
Cowboy,
have been greenlit. I guess that's what you mean. 2 have been greenlit.
I heard Cowboy came out and said it's going to take place over 5 years,
Yeah.
2 seasons, and every 3 episodes
Uh-huh.
is a whole year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Hey,
So,
again, I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm just from what I've seen and what I've heard. That's all. So
and I heard the show will lead up to right before Rogue One.
right. Yes, I do know that. Yeah, they said it will end pretty much right before Rogue One. So
No,
yeah.
I mean, it sounds so good. I hope it sounds good.
Again, I just think it's different enough where even
Right.
Mandalorian, as much as people love Mandalorian and it's a great Star Wars show, it still has Luke at the end. We still have the dark saber. I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars in it. Where this, I think, is different enough that it's going to feel like Star Wars, but it's going to be more. It's going to be. Do you remember like when Winter Soldier came out?
Yeah, of course.
When Winter Soldier came out, everybody was like, "This is the greatest movie ever," because they did a real movie in the MCU. Where I think this is going to be a real grounded show in Star Wars. It's not going to be
What
people
the,
flipping and flying around and lightsabers and.
what do you think Ahsoka will be like? Do you
Oh,
think
that's going to be Star. That's going to be Rebels. Rebels live action. That's what that is.
And do you think people are going to like that, or do you think people are going to forgive the pun, rebel against it?
Yeah, because again, I trust Filoni enough that I don't. I mean, unless he gives us something bad, I gotta trust him until I see it.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, because there's a
Um,
lot of stuff I don't like from Clone Wars, but overall, it's a great show. You can't deny it's a great show, and it
let
fills
me
in a
ask
lot of
you.
lore.
Let me ask you this. Since we're more thinking they're going to be like a live action Rebels.
Yeah,
Do you think they're going to make it in a way so that an average, everyday person who's not seen Rebels,
yeah.
do you think they're going to make it viewable for them?
What I'm hoping he does is he does the first episode of just flashbacks and sort of retells the story in a quick way, or at least the most important parts that we need to know. Because what we need to know for Ahsoka is where Thrawn is and who Thrawn is and where Ezra
Ezra.
is with and that
And
Ezra's with him and who Ezra
who
is.
Ezra is.
Right.
Yeah, nobody who doesn't watch the animated shows knows who Ezra is.
Yeah. And I mean, you'd have to spend a whole season trying to explain to them who Kanan is and
Right.
Hera and
The-
it's going to be Sabine.
I'm going to say it. I'm going
Chopper,
to
dude,
tell
we're
it.
getting a live action Chopper. Do you know how excited I am for that?
We're going to be, we got him already.
I know it's celebration.
He was in Rogue One.
Eh, eh. No, we're getting like a full scene with Chopper being Chopper because Chopper is
Okay.
a sarcastic little asshole, and I love him.
I'm going to be honest. I'm excited for Ahsoka. It's a risk. It's going to be risky.
Oh, it's risky. Yes.
Because 95% of the people, I don't care what you think, 95% of the people
Mhm.
don't watch the animated shows.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're not wrong. I'm a huge fan. Look, it's probably except for Mandalorian and Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, it's right there for me.
Right.
Rebels. I love Rebels, but you're
Mm,
right. The average fan does not know or care about Rebels.
And then going to be interesting to see how they work it. Yeah.
And I don't think Rebels is for the average fan though. Because I don't think an
No.
average fan, somebody that hasn't watched Clone Wars, they couldn't watch Rebels. If you haven't seen Clone Wars, you can't watch Rebels. It's almost
Okay.
impossible.
I mean this in the best possible way. I'm
Sure.
not trying to put down anything or anyone. I think the animated shows
Sure.
are for the Star Wars niche fan group.
Yes.
I don't know if the majority of the people
Mm-mm.
watch the animated shows.
No.
I
No
don't
way.
mean that in a bad way, it's the truthful.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree. Clone Wars for sure. Because if you watch, if if my dad watched Clone Wars, he would be like, "What is this kiddie stuff?" He would never
Right.
get it. He wouldn't get it. He wouldn't understand it the way we understand it. So, yeah, no, there's a lot of people like that. You are 100% right. A lot more than people that do take it seriously, like us.
And that means 95% of the people, before Mandalorian started, before
Hmm.
Mandalorian,
Hmm.
they didn't know who Ahsoka Tano was.
No, I still don't think most people do. I think they know
Right.
her from Mandalorian. They're like, "Oh, that's the girl from Mandalorian. That's what it's going to be." A lot of that.
Right.
You're gonna hear a lot of that when it comes out. Is oh, that's the girl, that's the lady from Mandalorian.
And I'm just curious how Ahsoka is, the show, how Ahsoka is going to do.
Yep. I no, I'm very curious to see. But again, I think because they laid that little bit of a seed in Mandalorian and Boba Fett, I think that's enough for the casual fan to at least watch it. They might not like it, they might not get all the references, but I think they'll at least watch it and say, okay. I mean, you know,
You, you really think that's going to be enough, though?
if they like the character, I mean, look, if there's some 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old girl sitting on her couch and she saw that episode of Mandalorian with her just going crazy in the woods, oh yeah, some little girl's gonna be like, oh, I love that. Yeah, I want to be. Yeah, well, there's a show coming out. Oh, I want to see that. Yeah, I think.
You know what?
And
Good
again,
point.
I'm not saying they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go watch Clone Wars now, or I'm
Right.
going to go watch. They're not doing that. But I'm just saying they're like, oh, okay, I'll check that out. I'll check that out.
I did
Now,
hope
if you
it's not
did that with Cad Bane, it wouldn't work. He hasn't got that. I don't. Plus, you have to remember too. She's also stood next to Luke at this point.
right.
So any fan that knows Luke, if he's standing next to a character, they're gonna be like, oh, well, she's obviously good, so I like her. So let's, I just
I
think
did
there's a lot more to it.
I did hope it's not too insect baseball. I mean,
It can't.
casual
No,
fan.
it has to. It has to be a little more. Well, I think the smart way to do it is just tell this story. Give us a little enough that we can at least catch up to where we kind of are, and then just tell this story.
Right.
Don't reference season 1 of Rebels or season 2 of Rebels. Like, don't
Right.
reference it. Just leave it away. Just tell the story you need to tell for this season or this series. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
It's
Yeah, because if they start
definitely
referencing Kanan and things that Ezra and Kanan did together, people are going to be like, "What are you talking about? Kanan's not even going to be in this show. He's gone. He's dead."
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So if you start referencing Kanan and Ezra, and it's just going to be convoluted for people. So I think you got to give them as much information as you can to catch them up to where you need them to be just for this story. And this story is finding Thrawn so we can find Ezra. That's all you need to
Right.
do. So, but you're right. It can get very inside baseball very quick if they try to go too deep for us fans. If they try
Right.
to reference
And,
stuff just to make us happy, then yeah, it could get very bad.
and
It could.
I don't think they will do that, but it's risky. You're thinking
Again, I
an
have a little
A.
more hope for that
You're,
show.
you're
Oh,
thinking
sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
you're thinking an A level character from the animated shows, and
Mhm.
you're putting her into. You may be taking off on training wheels. I'm sorry to put it like that, but that's what they're doing. They're
You're right.
taking off on training wheels and putting her in the deep end.
You're absolutely right. Same thing they did with Cad Bane. They pulled it off with Cad Bane, but they only needed him for,
Right.
20 minutes total, or 15 minutes, whatever it was. So,
I
but this is a
mean,
different character because this is a character that people do love, truly love.
right, right.
This is a Luke
But you say that.
character.
You say that, but the people who love her, that only adds up to 5% of everybody.
Absolutely. No. And again, 100% agree with you. That's what I said. It's going to be tricky. It is. It is. But I also think that this helps her in the sense that it's Rosario Dawson. That's another thing I think
Right,
helps. I
right.
think that helps. Um, but I also think that just it being sort of later in the timeline helps her because I don't think you could do Clone Wars snips and
No,
people not hate her again. At least new
right,
fans. Because
right.
that was the whole way she was written by Dave Filoni was to be hated at first and then loved, and he did a perfect job with her. But if you make a whole and now if you make 95% of the fans, like you said, hate this character all over again and then try to redeem her again, yeah, I think this is the where we need to pick her story up for everybody is already a loved character, I think. Plus, like I said, Filoni's in charge, so I trust him more. I just trust him more.
I did hope he didn't put rose-colored glasses on that's a risk too, man.
Sure.
This is maybe, he ha, he can't beat George Lucas doing the prequels. He
Yeah.
has to be able to take criticism, and
So you don't want 95% CGI Ahsoka jumping around, flipping around, just for Rosario Dawson's head popping around.
you know what I mean, though. You know
No,
what I mean.
yeah, no, absolutely. No, you're right. He's got to be like he's always hopefully been sensible. At least that's how he comes off as being.
Right.
Is he tries to tell the best story, So yeah, again, until we can't trust him, I just got to trust him. I think that's
No,
kind of where I'm at
I
right now.
hear you, and I feel the same way.
Sure.
There's no, it's not a slam dunk. That's all I'm trying to say.
Sure.
It
Oh
is
no,
not
you're
a slam dunk.
no, I think you're absolutely right about that. Now, do you think here's a I want this so bad right now. Do you think we could get a Vader series? One, that's the first question. Second part of that question is, do we get an Ahsoka Anakin flashback in that series?
In the Vader series?
And the
In
Vader
the
series.
hypothetical Vader series.
Do you think it'll happen? I guess it's really the first question. Do you think it'll even happen?
No.
Okay.
I don't see Disney doing it.
Okay.
As much as I would love it, I don't see Disney doing a miniseries based on Vader. But we will get a flashback in the Ahsoka series.
Sure.
Because he didn't really in that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. No, you're right. Yeah.
No, we're going to get a flashback.
Yeah, so we already
in
are getting a
that.
flashback with them. Yeah, okay. Darn, I was gonna say, because I think it would be cool. I really do. This will never ever happen, but I would love to see it. Is a recreation of that scene from Rebels with her and Vader, or
I
at
was
least
going to, I was just about to bring that up. I was literally just about to act in that. Because I am Filoni too.
Yep.
Can we get that in live action?
Yep.
Because again, this can't be said enough. 95% of the general audience don't watch Rebels.
True. Oh, actually, I didn't think about that. So nobody would even know the connection between her and Anakin.
The only
Wow.
the only way I can, the only way I can see that recreation happening, and this is where Dave Filoni needs to check himself. He has to acknowledge more people don't watch Rebels than he thinks. And most
Fair enough.
people have no idea about that connection, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, I
No,
agree.
most people won't know won't know Anakin and Ahsoka
Sure.
connection.
You're
I
very
don't know,
true.
man.
Uh,
Because here's the thing.
Okay.
That scene
Yeah.
in the Obi-Wan finale, where it's basically that same scene, only
It's
on the right scene.
yeah.
The Rebels fans got angry that happened because they felt it happened better in Rebels than in Obi-Wan.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. I think the Ahsoka for me the Ahsoka scene was more powerful. Yes. With
But here's
Vader.
the thing, 95% of the audience don't know about that scene.
Right. Because okay, so you've watched Clone Wars and you've watched Rebels, right?
I watched Rebels. I haven't really watched Clone Wars.
Okay, so then maybe you don't feel the same way, but I feel like we've got more of Anakin and Ahsoka together than Anakin and Obi-Wan together. So their
And you know
bond for
what?
me
That's
is
fair.
stronger than Obi-Wan. And don't get me wrong, I know Obi-Wan and Anakin's bond. Like I don't overlook it. I know how close they are. But I've seen more with Ahsoka and Anakin.
And that's fair. That might be true. I'm not arguing with that.
So I think for me, that scene with Ahsoka is so much more devastating because again, it is a brother and sister sort of fighting at this point to what we should feel with Anakin and Obi-Wan. And I do feel, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't feel it. I just feel like I think because I got to see it, it's a little stronger
Yeah,
of a
and that's
connection.
fair.
Yeah.
Wow.
So because again, nobody can take away how Anakin. That's all Anakin had was Obi-Wan. I don't think anybody can ever deny that. Once he left his mother, that was it. Obi-Wan was his person. That was it. So,
I don't know, man.
which is why also it's still very hard for me to believe with such good influences on him, Obi-Wan on one side and Ahsoka on the other side, pulling him the right way, why Palpatine was so easily able to change him. Because he spent way less time with Palpatine than either one of them. And they should have been the bigger influence on him than Palpatine, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But again, this is stuff
know.
that, this is super nerd fan stuff. I mean, this is just,
now you're getting into the deep fan base that. I don't get me wrong. I love Rebels.
Don't forget, Taika Waititi announced it. Padme's alive.
What?
So don't forget what Taika Waititi announced it. Padme's still alive.
Oh, no.
Padme lived.
I like Taika Waititi.
No, I do.
He's one of those guys, even though he said that, not that many people are going to get angry at him for saying that.
No.
But Taika Waititi.
No.
I
still can't wait for his movie.
Like James Cameron, did you hear what he said?
No.
Yesterday?
No. Yesterday? I mean, I've heard some recent things from him, I guess, in the last few
months. I heard yesterday, but
okay.
Did you hear about what he said about the length of Avatar 2?
No.
Okay, put up the latest. He said, Avatar 2 is going to be 3 hours long. If people can sit down and watch a fucking 8-hour stream of something, they should be able to watch a 3-hour movie and not whine about it.
That's not the same. That's not the same, and I'll tell you why, James Cameron. This is personal towards you, James Cameron. You made a 3-hour Titanic movie that should have took an hour and 20 minutes. Get the heck out of here with that crap. You overdo every movie you've ever done. They are great. They make a lot of money. I'm not going to argue with your success, but you overblow every movie you ever do. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that crap.
I knew it. And all honesty, what he said isn't horrible. But to me, it's a more contentious thing, more juicy.
Dude, I don't like.
I'm not saying he makes bad movies. He makes good movies.
He makes good
excellent movies.
Yes.
The movies make money.
Absolutely.
I'm just sick and tired of what he says. He is a more contentious director.
Sure.
No, actually, no, I take that back. I think Christopher Nolan is more contentious than him.
That might be fair. Absolutely.
I think Nolan talks less than Cameron.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to lie, they're more contentious as fuck.
Cameron, I just can't do because, like I said, I think Dances of Wolves is a better movie than Avatar. As visually stunning as Avatar is, I will give it that 100% better looking movie, great looking movie. It's just so boring. And Titanic, same thing. It's just so boring. It's so boring.
I'll be honest. I like Titanic more than I like Avatar.
I just don't like 3 hours for Titanic. Like I said, again, I can handle that movie with the love story. I don't even mind the love story, but the love story is 2 hours. Like, holy crap. Like, come on. Let's move on. We get it. They're in love. We get it. Like, come on. And again, it's not that I want to see people die in a ship sinking, but get to the point.
You mean Titanic is really 2 movies in one. There's a love story and there's thinking about Titanic.
It is. And again, visually stunning. I mean, the movie itself, don't get me wrong, it's beautifully shot. I mean, some of those shots when they first get on the ship and they show like the wide shots and it's beautiful. You can't deny his movie making ability. You can't. It's just I think he's like pretentious, and I think he gets a little too into himself sometimes. And he's like, "Oh, I can make this dinner scene in the Titanic 25 minutes long instead of 5 minutes long." Like, it's like, all right, dude, we get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
But like you said, you can't deny his success. So
right,
what are you gonna do?
right,
And Avatar 2 is gonna make billions, if not, it's
exactly.
gonna make at least $1 billion, if not billions.
And who are we kidding? We're both going to see it.
Oh,
We're
absolutely, I'm
both
gonna
going
see
to
it. Yes,
see
sir.
it. It is.
Absolutely, of course.
Sometimes he makes it really hard to be a fan of his.
But
Like,
you also, I'll tell you one thing too, is you also know when you go to see a James Cameron movie, you're gonna see something for the first time.
right.
You know what I mean? You're gonna see something new that he does with a camera or with CGI or whatever it is. You're gonna see something new for the first time you've never seen it.
Him and Nolan both need to learn how to shut up. That's all.
Well,
That's all.
well, who was it that said about like comic book movies in general? Scorsese? Wasn't that him that
Yeah.
said, yeah, like, come on, just shut up. Like,
Yeah.
dude, we know
Yeah.
you're a great movie director, but you don't have to down everybody
Yeah.
else's stuff. Like, come on. Nobody's comparing
Apparently he
Star
didn't.
Wars to
Apparently,
but nobody's comparing Star Wars to The Godfather. I mean, come on, that's nobody's doing that. It's its own
apparently
thing.
he didn't see. Apparently he didn't see Logan because Logan is a masterpiece of a film.
Absolutely, yeah. No, there's been a lot of great comic book movies, I think, that don't get the credit they deserve. And there are a lot of crazy and silly ones that don't get it, that don't deserve the credit they got. But
Right.
again, it is what it is.
Anyway, man, we could go on for hours
Yeah.
on both topics.
Absolutely.
You
man,
know what?
absolutely.
There isn't that much news, but you know what?
Yeah.
I had fun today. This was fun.
Yeah.
It
I
was
think
a
as we get
great
closer to
talk.
Andor, we'll have more stuff to talk about. We'll get more
Right.
casting stuff and more story stuff. So yeah, hopefully it starts revving up or hopefully we get a couple more or another trailer soon too.
Yep.
So
Hopefully.
absolutely.
But until then, we'll be here on this channel every Wednesday talking Star Wars. Till Don, my man, my fellow Jedi Master.
Yes.
Here the good people where they can find you.
So guys, I am on Twitter at Jedi Master Tuck. I am also here on Wednesdays with Ben and doing the Jedi Academy, as you can see. And then I am on Sundays with Ben and Josh doing the Geekdom Uncut. So, and also in the Facebook group, guys, please come find me in the Facebook group. We are always in there and doing new things. So, and like and subscribe, please.
Right on. And you can find me at my Twitter, Ben_Rainer. Every Wednesday on Jedi Academy, every Friday on the Weekly Geekdom, every Sunday on the Geekdom Uncut. You guys can also find me at the Northern Entertainment Group every Tuesday on Rewind That Tape and every Saturday on the Northern Countdown. Until next week, this is Jedi Masters. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.